Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Amy Metz, and we're going over what's happening in the tropics, and I have a few other things I want to touch on also. So first, I'm going to play this out, and then I'll give you a little brief on some other things and let people get in and come join the conversation here. So over on the left side here, we're looking near the bottom part. We see two storms, bright regions, red ones. A bright red spot where we have a new storm that's going to be moving into Japan in the South Korea area, where we see the split off just to the north of there of what was Masic. So that is now had made landfall, super typhoon status yesterday, and then we'll look at some damages from that and see what's to come for the next one. And Nana is also out there right now on the other side, on the right side, near Central America. So just south of the Yucatan right now, nearing landfall in Belize. So those are the storms that we're going to really dig deep into here today. If you have any other questions, weather-wise and beyond, just go ahead and ask it in the comments, and we'll do some kind of open discussions here on Facebook as I'm learning more and more about space weather. I wanted to share it with everybody. That was part of what I was doing here with school, and also wanting to produce a meteorology one-on-one 101 course. So go ahead first. I am trying some new software. Let me know, since people are here, probably not. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm going to switch over. I see that maybe nobody's viewing yet. So, oh no, I do have three, yeah. If anybody can just tell me if you hear me or not, that'd be awesome. I have a new mic. I'm testing things out so that I can potentially be live outside for hurricane season and still be heard. So go ahead, comment there if there's any kind of audio issues. The fact that nobody did makes me wonder. I can always look it up. Can you hear me? And of course, there's a bit of a lag anyway. So, because here I don't see on this, what you're looking at right now on the screen is the Facebook Live page, and there's no audio controls here or any bar that shows me what kind of decibels I'm hitting here. So yeah, and my OBS software, all new things I'm trying out so I can just report directly for people during hurricane season, testing out some audio stuff too. So here with Space Weather Live, I finally just like this page today. I started space weather courses, and it's going to help me with formulating better forecasts for hurricanes. So something that some people have been asking about, something in the realm of science with physics and everything that I've been studying, is geomagnetic storms. These are very new topics because we don't have a lot of data on them. The ways that we go about researching this stuff and collecting data is very new as far as the instrumentation is concerned, like the new satellites, new methods of even monitoring the sun. Right now we're looking at the sun. Here's another test for the background noise with my microphone instead. And I'll flip back to see if anybody can hear me yet. Nobody is saying anything, so that's worrisome. I'll just check with another thing and make sure we can hear. But yeah, back to here. So the sun and its storms is one way that we can know what's going to go on here at Earth. So if there's a lot of storms going on the sun, it can end up sending energized particles toward our atmosphere that then might instigate some sort of storm activity here. So that's a field that's really pretty new and largely undiscovered. But about the discovery process, I am digging into things here. So evidence of solar wind modulation of lightning. This is a fairly new study here that was handed to me by my professor today. So I'm going to be digging through this, and I'll be sharing some of these things as I learn more and more about what this means and how it can affect each and every one of us. If maybe perhaps we could be forecasting lightning. Oh, he hears. Okay, good. Now I'm finally being heard, and I see him. Oh, and hi, Eric. Hi, Kyle. Wonderful people here already. Okay, cool. I didn't tell this one to too many people, but little by little, I'll probably be making more friends in Japan too. So if you know people in this area, let me know. All my friends have left there. So as far as the lightning goes, I'm going to exit that for now and kind of see if people are interested. I can touch back on that, and of course, I'll be digging into it as the years go on. Something else that's really big news, solar weather-wise, is people can have their pacemaker just reset itself because of solar storms. So whether or not that can happen to somebody on Earth is a little bit more rare in terms of the reasoning behind these device manufacturers seeking out advice from scientists who I'm learning from now, who know about the space weather. So there are relations here. that hit home a lot more than I think most people realize. So I'm going to dig real quick into the forecast and then try to get through this as fast as I can and go back and look to see if anybody has questions. Because right now, one of my favorite products or websites to look at for worldwide global views is right here, tropical cyclones. We can see right away that Tropical Storm Nana is there. We can see that we have Haishen as well that has just become a tropical storm also, and Typhoon Masik. And of course, then we have a couple more areas that we're looking into. This investigation in the Atlantic, which I believe will stay in the Atlantic, but even more so, another wave off of Africa that now this next one I think has more potential to dig into the Gulf. But for now, we'll be focusing first on what just crossed over South Korea and what's moving in toward Japan right now with Hashin. So I'm playing out a model here that shows that the storm is going to be strengthening, which is very probable given many different circumstances. So it's the first time I have this box where people can see me too. I might be forgetting and making funny faces, but here the one problem here is that we're seeing more of a more strengthening, a bigger strengthening process here. So rather than the super typhoons that we saw forming a couple days ago, they were a little more south. The water was a little cooler, temperature-wise. Things were not as hot already. So right now, what we're looking at is a little bit warmer atmosphere to begin with, warmer waters already from when Bobby was there just a week ago and made landfall in South Korea. So what we saw here, I saw a nice YouTube video put together here on what just crashed past and also crashed there. Some trees, so not too much damage. Now Bobby was kind of like an eye-opener out to the rainfall, started saturating the land there. With this storm, we saw more intense winds, even more flooding, but now we have even more saturated grounds. So with this third storm coming in right away and no time to dry things in between, there's definitely going to be some added troubles with the next system here. So people really need to be extra cautious in heeding these warnings, especially anybody near higher terrain where it's more likely to flood extra. What happens by the mountains, you get what's called orographic lifting. It's if the wind is pushing in that direction, like winds are pushing now westward, where my mouse is going into Belize. Then at this level anyway, then we're going to be seeing the clouds get pushed up. The air actually just gets pushed up and turned into a cloud and precipitates right into some water. So it's just excess rainfall right there. And what we're looking at here now is I'm going to dig right into Nana real quick, and then I can do specifics later. Recon data is going in and out. So we have flight data that's pushing back 40 knots. That's not horrible. You know, we're looking at tropical storm force winds that could become hurricane. So this is going to be very threshold hurricane if Nana does in fact become a hurricane at all. And what I've opened here is the European model. This is a wind gust forecast. And to be honest, these wind gusts are actually very much more similar to what I see in reality with the real true sustained wind speeds. So I'll go ahead and show you with the cursor beyond just the color coding in the bottom corner here that miles per hour, we're looking at, yeah, just right underneath what we could be seeing for Category 1 status. And as that moves in closer and closer, which the storm actually is now about here, then we're seeing the wind speeds get up just a little bit higher and at landfall here. And so I have a friend, I almost moved over here one time in my life. Gosh, it would have been great. I was about to go to Puerto Rico. So now they're in for it though. I mean, it would have been great to see it. Of course, this is not horrible. This isn't the kind of thing that's going to go knock down every building like what we just saw with Laura, but limbs like what's above me, you know, it's going to be messy. And then structures that are underneath trees that could fall in these areas right along the coast and anywhere moving in where we're seeing the pinks, seeing the purples and blues, it's going to be a higher probability that something could fall on top of you and damage your car, damage your home. So just be mindful of how you're spending your night if you're in this area. Of course, many people were asked to leave, you know, with good reasoning. And so my friend, where I almost moved, I'm told is the Paradise area. and that's around a tip here on a peninsula. So not as bad for there, but the center of Belize is what's going to see the brunt force of the winds. So then I'm going to take a look here at what's happening on the radar for rains right now, because there's quite a bit of rain, and so I'm thinking, long term we could be seeing some trouble. That's just lightning for some reason not opening, so I'll move on. We'll see some more later. What I'm worried about more with the rainfall is in Guatemala, because once we get to Guatemala, this 3D shows you that there's more a high terrain. That's that topographic effect with the clouds being pushed up right into rain. So extra rain there. And speaking of rain, here's another way to view it. This is called the water vapor imagery, and I'm going to be looking at different levels. This is the upper level, and then green and white is moisture. We're going to be seeing rain where there's green and clouds where there's white, most likely. These kinds of things can be a little bit borderline back and forth, but we are seeing a landfall now, happening just right about now, right over Belize, and bringing rains down into Honduras too. And then those will be traveling into the neighboring countries. This is off center now, but I'll get this back up to this part of the world. And so now the mid-level, what I'm looking at here, I noticed that this system specifically had a lot of moisture at each level, so it's good to go over this with you and let you understand that we can see at every level it's moving the same direction, so we don't need to think that direction is going to matter. But this blue and yellow is dry, so that dry air, once it finally gets in there, it's going to let up the rain chances for this other side. I have some friends in this region too, so I'll be seeing what kind of flooding comes from there. There might be some flash floods, but luckily the system's moving quick enough that I don't think we'll see horrible floods like we did with Cristobal. When Cristobal turned into Amanda in the Gulf. It was our first transgender storm I ever tracked. It changed names because of who took over. The offices changed, the forecasting offices. And so when this switched over into the Miami forecasting office, it became Amanda and kicked off the season for the Gulf or Atlantic. So that's a wrap for there. There's plenty of rain that'll be going in, but not lasting too long. And then I have more on space weather, some of the things I've been learning if anyone cares to look at it. And then as far as wind shear, just real quick, because there wasn't much, we can see this is Nana. And yeah, the environment is allowing for the storm to move in without any kind of major disruptions. But this little streamline here, going through the center of this storm, is just a little bit of, push back against it, forming up stronger. So I'm going to check on my phone for any questions while I let this loop again. And then I've never actually forecasted for this part of the world. Of course, a lot of things are going to be very similar, and I've been monitoring it a lot over the last year and a half. So right about now, I'm going to get my feet wet. And if anyone wants to ask me the hard questions, go ahead. Or if you want to stick to your region, I don't care. I'm here to kind of look at global weather and try to relate this to what I'm learning in my space weather classes now, just so I can produce better forecasts and help create better models for us all to use. Weather models. So when you look at your phone, you don't go, why is this thing lying to me all the time? So where am I going next? Kyle wants to know, and thank you, says Mia. I love you. I love you guys. I love you all. Mary, nice to see you guys all here. So, well, I only have the one question then left. So, as far as United States severe weather goes, I haven't even seen anything on my radar. We can see there's a big, huge high pressure over the Gulf right now. Just because there's no clouds, I can look at this imagery right here and know that. And there's other products like the surface analysis that we could look at if you don't know these things. And then again, seeing some over here. So I do actually want to go to that. And then there's another big one. Here's a big cheat sheet for anybody. Storm. An easy way to find this too. SPC, convective outlook. My thing is all sticky, my keyboard. Spilt coffee on it one time. If anyone knows a hack, please let me know. So day one, convective outlook. This is the Storm Prediction Center. I think they do a marvelous job. There's a few things they could maybe add into their forecasting methodology eventually. Things are being discovered right now, but there's a few things I use they don't. But man, myself and them, we're usually very similar. I choose not to look at their forecasts before conducting my own, and I found that we correlate a lot, very often. So yeah, Kyle, there's this odd bit of severe weather possibility that's going on in the northeastern United States. There's been a lot of activity, tropical activity, lingering in over there. A lot of energy being dumped and left. Um, but I don't see anything there. So I'll do the surface analyses coming up, but I'm more interested first to look at for this kind of a thing is the upper level winds. See where the jets are located, because there's different things about our jets that will indicate where severe weather will occur. And these are things I want to write about, or I guess speak about, in a Meteorology 101 crash course that I want to put together for people. So there's some odd things going on with the jets here, and then we have Omar out there. So I mean, there is tropical depression in that area up over here. So in the northeast, and you're not gonna get anything to look at. As Kyle's asking, as a storm chaser, where should he be going? I just helped him get into the eye of Laura. What a wild situation that was, with such devastation to follow. It was a wild ride going through all that with him. Yeah, playing out the jet placement, I can see it continued. This is that sort of a appearance that we see when there's severe weather. It's that jet in that location. All these terms, I'm not sure how to describe them yet, so in layman's terms, that is. So over time, I'll develop these videos and continue sharing. But yes, when this happens with the jets, for sure, there's going to be some weather. Now, with a couple weeks from now, Kyle, in Tornado Alley, you could be having some wild stuff going on. Another thing with that, you had lightning skies the other night. Now, that was part of the space weather stuff I'm learning about, so this is going pretty far out now. I'd say there's not too good of a chance that you're gonna have anything this week in your region other than the space weather stuff. So KP indexes and your lightning, that's what I was talking about at the beginning. I really wonder what they said in this. I haven't even read it yet. I got this study sent to me today just before I got into class, before doing the live. So the response of lightning rates over Europe to arrival of high-speed solar wind streams at Earth is investigated using a superposed epoch analysis. Epoch. I have not said that word in so long. So fast solar wind. Yeah, so they're connecting fast solar wind to lightning. And I'm not sure how the KP index, let me see if I can find, and then KP index. If this index, this is one thing I do know is monitored, and I know where to find the values, then I've been noticing just over the years a correlation between a higher KP index and the presence of lightning. And it just occurred the other day again. I'm not seeing KP index mentioned in this particular study, so I'll be digging into that as I go through school. But yeah, I think you could have more lightning skies. So spaceweatherlive.com, KP index is back down again, I guess, at high latitudes. So you're in the mid latitudes. As far as that one goes, I'd say never. Yeah, you're just going to be in a lull. Enjoy the time to rest, okay? You were busy, and Laura, and we have plenty left to edit from that. So, tornadoes in 2 weeks. Let's see what's happening. That'd probably be your next best bet, looking at how things are going. There's the one chance before that. I'd say it's about the same time frame as far as what would be landfall, as what's going on off the coast of Africa right now. See if I can get over there. I don't think it's anything to see yet, but I think that there could be something coming over here. Let's yeah, otherwise you're gonna have to wait for the energy from all these systems that, like, this is probably Bobby leftovers now that have left here. So some of this tropical, more moist air, they come with different densities, different particles. This sort of, the different air masses, interacting then with what's joining in from up above Canada to the north of Canada, cooler air, that can spring on some action. So if any of that mixes up together over the Rockies, which these waves right now, they're traveling very high up. There's high pressures that are guiding them to the north, and that's just keeping you with sunny skies predominantly. Of course, not really. You're in Oklahoma, so you're right on that edge. But so you have no big no big storms coming for quite a while. There's just a possibility that some of this energy from these tropical storms over by Japan, that it could tailspin over the Rockies and add some flair to your day there. Oh, and Kyle's friends there. Hey, cool. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know too. And I think I missed the Nana discussion. My granddaughter has familia from Honduras. Any major threats? So, nada mucho. Um, ayovia. Yo quiero aprender español también. Pero yeah, so there's totally like rain over there. There is going to be some rain in Honduras. So mi familia es de Nicaragua también, de familia de mi esposo. So I'm always looking over here too. I'm interested in this part. I have friends in Costa Rica as well. So if your family, they're in the northern part of Honduras, then I would say, yeah, definitely they're going to get rained on. We looked at the levels of moisture, and so this is the last 12 hours. You're looking at an infrared plus. So anywhere that is red is going to be torrential downpours. Something that you see in the blue, it might be that stratus, like the stratus layer just looks cloudy but not even drizzling on you. But the good news here is it's moving fast. So they could have flooding. How's the home? Like if it's really low lying, maybe potentially flash floods could be a threat. If it's along a real steep side of a cliff, or like let's say some hills, I know more of that is toward Guatemala. But those kind of locations would be the more susceptible to damages through this, because wind speed wise, we're not looking at much. Belize, I believe, is here. I had the aircraft data. Here we go. 40 knots was the last. I'll refresh this. And 28 knots. This is the peak 10-second wind speed. So yeah, things are, it's interacting more with land. So as far as the wind threat, that's great. Continuing to decrease now as it's getting closer and closer. Where throughout the day earlier, we were worried, okay, things could kind of kick up a notch still. And for some reason, I'd love for this radar product to come through, but it wasn't. And it doesn't. This is so weird. I had do a composite satellite for this part of the world. What I'll do now in the meantime is just go back to satellite view. But it's one thing I've noticed that's very helpful that I'm providing on my Weather Woman page. You can tell people about who live here in Central America, who live in the Caribbean, that I am providing composite radar all the time through these storms. So I can give you the past 12 hours of what's been raining. I can show you where it's going to go, even just arrows. I can edit now into the video so that regardless of language, they can understand where is torrential downpour going. Excuse me, now I forgot the mic. But go ahead if you're actually concerned with wanting to follow the rainfall very closely, know where torrential downpours are. If somebody is in a more susceptible area, then yeah, just follow my Weather Woman page, and you'll see these actual rain bands coming in, and we could see where the torrential downpours are. If someone else knows a good product, go ahead, throw it in here for the radar so that we can actually look at the radar in the comments. I'll go ahead and open it. Otherwise, it's moving nice and quick. This shouldn't be too bad for anybody. They haven't had torrential downpours. San Salvador had some. They have quite a bit of rain. I do get in on some lives with some reporters there now. I could totally tag him. He's cool. So yeah, Southern California. That's where I'm from. I haven't had, and real quick before I leave Honduras, I'll make sure that wasn't anything else yet. So Southern California is where I'm from, and there was a lot of humidity that I got to talk about last week when there were some storms. It's not on the radar there for a lot of people. Storms, they do exist outside of California, and so sometimes they'll bring humidity up, but right now there's not much going on for the west coast of the United States. There's, again though, when the storms, like what was left over from Bobby, is coming in, that will sort of crash in with a wave here. We do see right now it's not catching up to play, but we see the white now on the left of the screen. This will move in eventually, and these sorts of things, they can bring some rain to the west coast. But with what's going on here, I see a spin here. It's going to end up getting driven over to the north. Everything's been real pushed up toward the poles lately. So reasoning, I don't know, but I do know the effects for the weather. And you're not going to be seeing much in California. There's kind of a heart shape here, though. I like that. We have of dry air, and just low-lying clouds there. That's kind of that marine layer fading away as the sun goes with the diurnal changes. So I'll keep an eye on that, but worrisome for the fire weather. I know there have been quite a few fires, and I haven't been hearing too much lately because my family is not close to these ones particularly. And then any other questions, I'll be checking here. Big day tomorrow. Ooh, what's that one about, Rebecca? Another test for my audio. How bad was the background noise? Hurricanes. Yeah, so I'm going to go back and look then more at that wave. See what could form possibly. Because right now, hurricane-wise, I'm not worried. Not worried about that. Another hurricane. Wow, I'm not over. I know, dude. Hurricane Laura was awful. So what about South Korea? Yeah, right. So I'm going to go back to them now. That spin is an extra tropical low. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Jeremy. He's amazing. I kind of just hadn't looked at it yet. And so I was like, gee, well, it is spinning. He's always on top of this. He's an amateur forecaster that I invited here. I really love the products he's creating, and he helps keep me. Oh, look at him. He keeps me way up to date when I'm over here busy with my kids and we're going to classes. There's a 10% tornado risk in DC tomorrow. However, I think it will bust. Yeah, yeah, those are low. I mean, just if there's anything, I'll bet you that it'll be short and also on low ceiling. So F0 style, I'd think at least. And then, yeah, so back to South Korea, because there is quite a bit going on there. Must have changed that. It's just been one thing after another. And I want to find it. So I'll close this one. I'm done here. I need those for myself later. And I might be able to find different products here for these. Because when I opened up, you must have missed this part. I don't know many people in this part of the world right now. I have not forecasted for this part of the world much. Most people here do have good supplies already, products supplied to them. So I haven't found that there was much of a need, like those places I mentioned that didn't even have the composite satellite that could save their lives. So I've been focusing a lot on that, and then now I want to continue getting to be a better forecaster in foreign locations. And here we've been seeing super typhoons, which are here then is an equivalent to Category 4. And this storm here is expected to be making a landfall worse than what we just saw. So you might have missed it, but I showed, oh, well, now it's gone, shoot, from long ago. I had showed a video of what happened after that storm. It wasn't too bad, but now this one's going to be worse and probably affect Japan even more. So these are all new products for me, and all I can see then here is that the 72-hour forecast is putting it right over that island chain, like by Naha, just south of Japan, and that is going to be in 72 hours, so 3 days from now. Moving kind of, I'm wondering if that's up to date, because that seems like it must be moving very slow then. Time and date. Site I've never used is not something I usually do live. Jeremy might have a clue. I would really like to interview you and Weather One about the hurricane. Oh gosh, do it, please. We need somebody. It's hard. It's been hard to edit that footage, honestly. I told Kyle, it must feel like waiting for wedding photos. I remember thinking, like, send me my photos. There was a lightning storm behind me. And there was this photo, I was like, is there one with lightning behind me and my husband or not? Oh my God. And it took me like 3 months to get him. And so it's been over a week now since the landfall, right? And I keep telling Kyle, sorry, this or that. I'm sure he's itching to see it all. And so am I. It's just life, we're busy, and then I'm learning new softwares. So yeah, go ahead and please join in on asking us what you want to know, even dropping questions here. I mean, I'm all about just telling people what they want to hear in a way. I left the newsroom so that I could do this in a more life-saving manner. So extreme intensification, yes. Now I wonder where to go though. See, all the models, yeah, are showing these horrible landfalls. So yeah, that's exactly what I've been showing on Windy. Now, as far as I know, the Japan Meteorological, I think, Association, they have great products that I might rather look at right now than what I was just seeing. Because otherwise, what I love to do is play out the European model, which I did earlier, and it puts the storm going up right. You know, I like to do that in lieu of forecasting anyway, if I have to make a quick look. But it did have it going in a track up here, which I would say just looking at the satellite itself, straight up toward more of Japan than what the last two storms did. So that's going to be the big difference here, is that rather than going through this open sea and then into South Korea, we're going to see a lot more action over Japan. Plus, we're already seeing an eye wall forming here. And with the other storms, we weren't seeing that yet. So this will be more intense, most definitely. The water is warmer, there is less shear. And that's probably one more product I could look at right now is the shear for that. Because it, again, I haven't really spent much time forecasting in that part of the world. So I know this region, and let me see if I can find their part of the world here. And when I was in school, I was always begging, can we please do foreign forecast? And then my last semester, I met somebody who was also interested in doing that. He had just started working there, but unfortunately, we didn't actually get to dig into that with him. So I wish I could see more products here than just this, but it seems experiment intensity. There's so many acronyms, and I just want to see the shear, but I'm not seeing it. This could always be helpful though. Sea surface temperatures are something that I hands down add into every forecast when I'm trying to direct a landfall. Hurricanes want to follow the warm water. It is their fuel. So, and I see the shear now, good. So yeah, warm, and then a little bit warmer. The airflow is that other big generator, and then so for forecasting purposes, next I'll dig into different layers of the wind. And first the shear. So unfortunately, this is not a map view shear like I was hoping. No one wants to look at this stuff but scientists. So mean intensities, I'm not even, so they're doing this by the favorable versus unfavorable conditions for intensification. Shear values, mean intensity trends, negative. So yeah, negatives indicate this deepening means that it's going to get stronger. And yeah, we see a lot of negative numbers here. So the unfavorables are positive, but these favorables are negative. So if negative means deepening, then yeah, everything as far as the wind shear that they're providing for products here would indicate intensification. Now, another thing that I would look at for that, first and foremost, is different layers of the winds, and then the sun. What the sun can do is crazy with these things, and I'll tell you more in a minute. So the more that this storm is going together at different levels, the more strong it is. Now around this level, right in the middle of what you're looking at the ground, as opposed to way up at the top of our atmosphere, the tops of the clouds when there's storms, this is right in the middle. And it's kind of a steering level. I could play out the model here, but I usually prefer to just look at what's going on. I'm going to see that there's a pushback here, but it's not as strong as a force as this. So as far as pushes go, this guy's moving. The hurricane, or typhoon then, is moving in this direction against it. It'll probably make its way there, but have to get pushed back a little bit. So it's going to be kind of this wedging up toward the north, toward Japan, where all these streamlines are already going. So this is what a lot of meteorologists call the steering winds. It's at the steering level. It helps drive the boat. And then up at the jets is another great forecasting tool for me to see how is this going to be falling apart, or moving. The jets kind of tell me if it's going to be falling apart. And here, I didn't see any indication of it, and the model playing out, the European model, also does not indicate any kind of of weakening there. So not until we're going to see the storm affecting land will it begin to reduce its intensity. There will probably actually be a surge with this one here affecting Japan, whereas the ones before, it was very minimal. It's more of the flash flooding where we saw standing rain. So this really is one to watch out for. That's on top of saturated grounds to remind people. Rain on top of rain on top of rain. And it's not just going to fall on the ground and absorb. It's going to be rolling around and filling up the streets and moving cars around in those places that are really low lying. So just heed the warnings there if you know somebody in that area. And then anything else here, but I don't know. Oh, good. His stuff's getting out there. Yeah, I just really love Jeremy's stuff, man. I saw it and I was like, hey, this was the perfect blend. So what I told her was when I got my first job as a meteorologist, I was also a weather producer, they called me. And my editor was always mad. Don't ever talk about El Nino again. Stop. What are these things you're saying? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, where's the paragraphs? And I was just so drilled into my head right out of college. Writing research papers, scientific terms, and it's not what you guys want to hear. It's not what you understand. And Jeremy just like cuts out all the junk from these scientific discussions and he puts it into words that are just easy to digest and regurgitate. I really appreciated it. And as far as me watching it over time, I'd say, yeah, he's doing a great job. Composite models. You want a career in weather? Okay, so good. I want to help teach people, by the way. My current professor, so that gets into this other stuff, then I really like the discussions here. Rebecca, I started seeing my newest professor on YouTube. Like 5 years ago, my friend said, hey, he's a mentor, by the way. He worked in radio and stuff, and he'd given me so much good advice. He said, hey, look at this girl on YouTube. She, worked for NASA at the time, still does, I suppose. And she was putting out space weather forecasts. I'll just show her show you guys her YouTube then. Tamitha Scove. Tamitha Scove. And again, my silly keyboard sticking. So what I noticed, and it's funny, I made my name Weather Woman, and I didn't know this was her then, because until I had contacted her, I never saw this website. I actually contacted her right before I started her school. So she started putting out these broadcasts on YouTube, and it's all about what she knew as a space physicist. She's into chemistry and different things that have to do with the sun. And she started sharing these forecasts that I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Whenever she was saying that there was this Earth-directed solar storm, the CME just launched. Like, how do I find this CME? Oh my gosh, it's so cool, you guys. CME. There's some on spaceweatherlive.com, like I mentioned earlier. So I'll open this now, and we can actually see the sun. And this just started since the 80s. And I've noticed that rapid intensification of hurricanes occurs every single time we have an Earth-directed CME. So people are actually studying this field now. All these things are so interesting to me. So this is a solar flare, and right now I'm at the stage of learning all the differences between the flares and the radio. Like, there's so much stuff, and these things really affect our health even. So this is where, yeah, I want to help teach people too. And then not forget my meteorology, like the meteorology 101 courses and the things that people can use on radar, like to save their life. It's the same idea here. People are building apps right now that I'm learning from some of my professors and stuff that are kind of relating this stuff to how you can use it in your daily life to help yourself. But it's hard. It's hard for us scientists to get these things into the right words so that it can be helpful. And that's where people like Jeremy and then all these discussions really come in handy for progressing science. I'm reading a book now, and my favorite part was I opened it up, and the first part said, "Science without communication cannot progress." So that's why I'm sharing all this cutting-edge research, and I'm trying to study it as well right now. So these solar flares, they happen on the sun. We monitor them. This website keeps track of it all. I don't understand it all. This actually here is how I found the Facebook and liked it today. Because now that I'm a student, I'm going to be using this website more and more, all these products. and I noticed that there's real-time solar activity. So this is something I use for hurricane forecasting. It's been in my back pocket all these years when I'm going on my forecast, where all my classmates were like, why did you say that was going to happen, like last week? And it's because I was monitoring the sun and I noticed, like, hey, if we have, how many sunspots right now? 0? That's odd. Then, well, that to me says we're probably not going to have any of these sunspots or CMEs lighting off action toward Earth. Still learning, like I said, all the terms, so don't take any of this for quotes yet. But knowing that there's a zero here, and that we're looking at the sun here in different wavelengths of light, so this appears differently, and coronal mass ejections. These are all things that if there's a lot of it, then there's a lot of Earth weather. It affects the aurora, like the KP index. High latitudes, mid latitudes is going to be different, so it can affect like when you see aurora borealis, or maybe even your radio communications. So right now, hurricane forecast wise, the sun isn't going to give us extra action. Not from what I can see right now, knowing what I know so far. But there's an abundance of knowledge and information here that has yet to be explored by me and most of the world. But yeah, these are the things I'm super excited to learn about next. And then, what's that bingo? I have read this already. What did I nail? I will scream to the high heavens. The Laura forecast, that one was wild. You guys are all awesome. And by the way, Rebecca, as soon as I saw your picture on Kyle's thing, I just saw the light and I was like, I have to open this. What is this? And I was like, she looks like someone I would like. So actually, I'm sending you a friend request because later, I can't know. But yeah, that's really cool. I like this module. Hey, Cole. And other than that, I don't think there's more forecasting to look at. Let everyone know. Hide your daughters, hide your sons if you're in Japan, on that southern shores. So otherwise, I'll be keeping an eye on that. I'll be looking at what Nana does. I'm sure San Salvador will have some rains that my buddy will be going live with, lightning and rain and stuff, by tomorrow. But luckily, all that stuff's moving quick. And then, how about one quick long-term projection for Africa? See if I can kind of get any idea of what might be going on here. And then this could be a good time for Jeremy to chime in again. Hey, I just so happened to be at a development cycle here on Sunday where the loop had ended out of frame. So I don't normally do this stuff. I don't like go look through models and run them out ever. But since I've been kind of thinking that there's a wave here and I've been seeing the satellite, I finally do feel like something's going to happen, and I'm curious enough to want to at least provide you the imagery to go along with what I'm thinking. Yeah, now this is what I was seeing evidence of possibly in the weekend, right off, forgetting the city here that I saw off of Africa, but right there somewhere between these points that something could develop. Now with the Bermuda High and with some storms that are passing in the Atlantic, like Omar will be heading toward Europe at the same time, how that's going to displace the Bermuda High will have everything to do with whether or not the storm could potentially glide into the Gulf. So that would be my next thing where I was saying, keep it chill for a couple weeks, Kyle. You don't need to go chasing. But just rest up. Let's get through the Laura stuff and then see what happens here. I'm not even sure what this would be named because what happened with Kyle and Omar here warming up by like 50 degrees latitude. Anything goes this season. We might get into the Greek alphabet. So that's what happens next. After the Z, I don't even think there's a Z actually. It goes to Vicky. I know I saw Vicky on there. That's a Nana for my kids, is a Vicky. And then we'll have an alpha, beta once we get into the Greek alphabet. So if we get into it, it'd be nice if we don't. I just don't want to see any more destruction the way that we saw with Laura. But the good news there was that so many people just, they heeded the warnings and left. Ooh, where's it gonna land? What's Jeremy saying now? That second one is, so guaranteed to develop the second storm, or, yeah, here for sure, right? And then he wants to know where it's gonna hit, right? Yeah, so all models show it developing even. Now that's a great sign. Like I was saying, I'm not much of a model reader because as a human forecaster, I didn't want to trick myself into developing the wrong methods. So I just strayed away from them. But when they line up, yeah, for sure. There's a lot going on there. And then with no solar forcing, now these models do not include the sun stuff that I just showed you. The fact that there's not a lot of sun activity with the sunspots tells me that these models are going to be more accurate than if there were a lot of storms going on the sun too, because that could then play up an intensification where the model wouldn't catch it. It just wouldn't even know to compute that. He says it's too far to tell, and it's funny. So I say to everyone, that's what everybody's trained to say. So, but I like the hard questions personally. I'm here to literally, like, on this earth to get better, longer forecast methods, and maybe even just stop hurricanes altogether. So anything's possible. But yeah, definitely developing. And then, like I'm saying, the Bermuda High. So Bermuda High is always going to be hanging out here at the surface. It's very weak at this point in the forecast anyway on Monday. But we see that there's some intense surface winds going on just off the coast of Spain, Portugal, and that would be probably, what's left over. Omar is going to be up in that mix. And so if I think about all this, in reality, the model's not going to be totally right. So we do know that right now, and in the next 12 hours, the model's probably going to be right. And there's a lot of strange stuff. And in fact, there's a lot of glitches that I see on windy here between these air masses. This happens often here. But I have not really needed to focus on this location for specifics since people don't live there on the ocean. So as far as that goes, yeah, I've seen broad intensification of another pressure system that's typically here. And that once Omar passes, that would be a very probable scenario for that part of the world, which then tells me with the steering that perhaps we could be seeing, and this happens a lot, the Bermuda High gets kind of drug off toward the east along with these storms that develop and then kind of pull east, going in and out there. So yeah, if the Bermuda High is going east, then that means that while this storm is here and it's forming, it's going to have a reason to continue tracking west, not going north. So this guy's here, just keep on tracking west. Then what would happen? See, I've never even really tried to go this far out with these things. It's interesting, and then you'll see me thinking hard here. You can see me this whole time now with my new layer in the software. So then the Bermuda High then usually gets put back into its place once all that stuff goes away. In this case, we could even be having what Jeremy was then referring to as the first storm in the comments. That one could also be kind of playing a role in the pathway that this storm chooses, our next potential hurricane. I would call this the next potential Gulf hurricane. And this model is not showing it going there from what I can see right now. And so it's not thinking that the Bermuda High is going to push back at the same time that the storm is tracking toward the Caribbean and the United States. So if that happens, sure, these storms will go up toward the Atlantic. But if the Bermuda High ends up trailing back over here, along like in the wake of Omar and everything, then we could see some more perpetuation and propagation into the Gulf and south of Hispaniola again. That's my next one to watch, I'd call it. I'm not going to look at it like I did with you when we saw Laura, when it was in the same kind of formation stages. I looked at that and I said, yeah, for sure, dude, Gulf. But this one's very much like borderline for landfall. It may or may not bother anybody. And so I'll go back and see if there's any more questions for that. And that'd be my only next one to worry about United States wise. I wouldn't say that all the models are, yeah, you never want to say all of anything to be scientifically or technically correct in the world of science. Anything scientific must be able to be disproven. So it's a catch-22 to use absolutes. I will keep you all posted on the severe weather outbreak. Okay, good. Where are you, by the way, Rebecca? Like, what part of the world? Are you some eyes in the sky somewhere? Are you like trying to become a meteorologist or something? Or are you just like totally obsessed with it and interested? And then that is disturbance too. Okay, good. So I'll get my names down. That Mid-Atlantic and Bermuda High may kill some chances. What does that mean? You mean kill some chances for? I wonder what that. I'll go read them in order, maybe. Problem. So interesting stuff. This is more fun having these discussions. So I'll read these out just while I'm doing this, kind of trying new things and testing the waters here. Jeremy's saying the first area of tropical low pressure will likely develop. However, it's got quite a bit of shear ahead of it. And that's a great thing to be. I'll be looking at that, I guess, when we get closer to. Um, so I believe you're talking about the one in the Atlantic. It'll probably make a brief landfall in Connecticut. Is it TFC? Oh, this one that's over by the Atlantic now. Yeah, okay, yeah, okay, perfect. So yeah, that's going to be bringing in that severe weather chance that I showed on the Storm Prediction Center's convective outlook at the beginning. Just a small chance around the DC area. Yeah, and like you said, he thinks the tornado thing will bust. And yeah, what do you do in that scenario? I'd love to learn more about forecasting tornadoes specifically. I know we could look at like Cape Index, and there's some other things there for severe weather, but I've put a big focus on hurricanes lately, um, and especially with my space studies, I'm looking at more of the global. So definitely fast. Oh, I see. So me and tornadoes. What I do know about tornado outbreaks, I'm good at pegging the tornado outbreaks. I do see that there's different air masses here. Now, some of this is coming up from the Atlantic. It's going to be carrying more moisture with it, whereas some of this other air is much drier. We're going to be with these different air masses. Yeah, it does make it a little more likely for these little formations, the curls to happen, but it's not an intense one. So, like he's saying, he thinks it's going to bust. I also would see evidence just even looking at this, knowing what kind of airs are going to be moving into one another and that they're not too different. It'd be very slight. So, if someone catches one, share it with me. Maybe you'll see a funnel out there anyway. And maybe Jeremy's bust will pull through and win. So have a great day. I think that'll wrap it up, and everyone enjoy the weather. Thanks for joining the discussion.